YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back. 49ers wrapped up the 2024 season by losing to the Arizona Cardinals by 23 points yesterday. Not going to lie, I had Red Zone turned on majority of the day. Didn't watch this game from start to finish. This was, I think, the first game all year where I didn't watch it start to finish. Just didn't care enough. The way this season has gone, with Purdy not playing and things like that, didn't want to make my day bad in any way, shape, or form by watching this team. Obviously, to me, it seemed like the game kind of ended and kind of played out in typical 49ers fashion, keeping it competitive, keeping close, and then collapsing in the fourth quarter. So not really much to touch on in yesterday's game, other than Ricky Pearsall continues to impress. 6 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. Juwan Jennings was ejected from this game for kind of fighting with Sean Murphy-Bunting. To me, it didn't seem like Juwan Jennings did anything wrong. He absolutely mauled Sean Murphy-Bunting in back-to-back plays. It kind of ignited a fight between both teams, and on the second fight, or on the second time where Juwan Jennings mauled Murphy-Bunting, both players were ejected for fighting and whatnot. So, yeah, those were kind of like the two highlights of yesterday: Pearsall's performance and Juwan Jennings getting ejected. Isaac Guerendo also got hurt. Got carted off the field, looked way serious than what it was. He is expected to be ready for the 2025 season. Doesn't have any ACL damage or anything like that. So that's obviously good news. But yeah, man, what an end to a disastrous season for the Niners. They go into this offseason with plenty of important decisions to make. They're already planning on making coaching decisions, but there's a lot of contract decisions that they have to kind of figure out as well. Number one, it starts with Brock Purdy. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Kyle Juszczyk. Those guys are all on expiring contracts. Charvarius Ward as well. And it was reported today that Kyle Shanahan is speaking with his coaching staff today and tomorrow, and is delaying talking to the media until later this week. So clearly this is telling, as major changes to the coaching staff are kind of looming. Brian Schneider, 49er special teams coordinator, he needs to go. Nick Sorensen, he's got to go. I get that the 49ers defense has battled through injuries and they haven't been healthy, all year, but I also think that, this defense should have played much better than how they played this year. And knowing that there wasn't really ever any improvements with the defense all year, there's clearly some things that need to be changed, and it starts with firing Nick Sorensen and Brian Schneider, the 49ers special teams coordinator. So, in other news, Brian Griese, 49ers quarterbacks coach, he's kind of on an accelerated rise. He got a head coaching interview with the New York Jets. They requested to interview him for their next head coach. That's pretty interesting. I definitely think Brian Griese in the future could be a head coach of some sort, but he hasn't even been a coordinator yet in the league, to my knowledge at least. I'm pretty sure this quarterback's coaching gig was his first coaching job in the NFL. He obviously came to the 49ers from being a Monday Night Football analyst, so that's pretty shocking, I guess, that he's getting a head coaching interview already. But hats off to him. I think he's done a pretty great job with coaching the quarterbacks and coaching Brock Purdy. So it'll be interesting. That's definitely another situation to keep an eye out on. But either way, 49ers, they got to bring in a new defensive coordinator. Jeff Ulbrich, Robert Saleh, number one, Robert Saleh would be my top choice, but um, I definitely think that, Jeff Ulbrich would be another top choice for the 49ers defensive coordinator position. They tried to do this last year by hiring him, and he decided to go to New York instead. So, um, yeah, man, we'll see what happens. But there's obviously lots of changes that need to be done. There's big contract situations that need to be kind of, thought through and taken care of. So, it's going to be a long but interesting offseason. With the loss yesterday, the 49ers hold the 11th pick in the draft, which is a pretty damn good pick. I'm kind of glad that they did lose yesterday to get, that 11th pick. So they're right behind the Chicago Bears at number 11. Um, Glad to know that we have a top pick and that we could potentially get a difference maker for this team going into next year. But more importantly, the 49ers have um, a bunch of things to work through. It's going to be interesting, too. The 49ers really haven't had a long off season like this in a few years. They haven't had, they've been playing in January and playing in February. So I'll be interested to see if the draft is a little different based off of how long that they're kind of going to be thinking things through and kind of doing their homework on certain things. So massive off season from uh, from the 49ers looming. Charvarius Ward also spoke to reporters roughly about an hour ago, and he kind of went into detail about coming back to the Niners next year, but he also mentioned that he's kind of got PTSD from being here and the trauma that he's suffered from kind of losing a child. That's one guy that I doubt will be here. Charvarius Ward had an incredible 2023 season last year. Kind of took a step back this year. And obviously this is before, him losing his child, but kind of took a step back, wasn't really the same player as he was last year. And he's wherever he goes and wherever he ends up, he's going to have a massive contract. And I just don't think that it's in the 49ers plans to retain him and to get him back with the 49ers. I would be open to the idea, but I think with the emergence of Renardo Green, and some of the younger guys that I think the 49ers want to play at corner. It just kind of, it's almost like it kind of just pushes Mooney out the door in a way as the odd guy out, especially with Diamador Lenore and the contract that he just got and the player that he's becoming. So doubt Charvarius Ward will be back. The roster could really look a lot different next year. There's a lot of guys that were on this team this year that won't be on the team this year. I think, or won't be on the team next year. I guess you could say this year. I think this is honestly going to be one of the more drastic changes to the roster this upcoming offseason that I think we've ever seen. I think the 49ers are really going to dive into talent, see who wants to be here, see who can help the team. Obviously, on paper and whatnot, and when this 49ers team is healthy, their Super Bowl window is still open technically. Do I think that they're going to win one in the Shanahan era? I have my doubts on that. Like, I definitely don't think I think it's more likely not than they do. But you never know. I mean, I think this team could really revamp this offseason. Bring guys in that want to be here. They can kill the draft and draft difference makers. Day one type starters, and you never know. I mean, obviously, I'm not betting on that, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I've seen crazier things happen. So, yeah, man. What a year, though. I'm so glad that this year's over, and I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with this team figuring out ways to lose. Again for the rest of the year. So we'll see what happens. But man, what a year. A year full of disappointment. A year full of, disappointment and I don't even know what the words would be for this year. Just not hitting their expectations, um, underachieving. I mean, all of those kind of coincide with how the Niners season has kind of gone. So hopefully, obviously, next year is much different. We get guys back healthy, guys stay healthy. Clearly, I think having a longer offseason definitely helps guys get healthier and things like that. But we'll see, man. Massive offseason ahead of us, though. So obviously, I'll continue to keep you guys updated on whatever happens with the coaching staff, the roster changes. So stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the season. If you could describe it in one word, what would it be? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your guys' predictions as well for how the roster shakes out. Who gets re-signed? Who's obviously the odd ones out? I think number one, Brock Purdy and Dre Greenlaw are the two most important players that the 49ers need to bring back. And I would think, Talanoa Hufanga's right up there as well. Hufanga, misses a lot of tackles and whatnot, but he's clearly a locker room guy and a difference maker when he's out on the field. And you almost just feel like the defense is kind of more complete with a guy like Talanoa Hufanga. But Malik Mustafa, that's a good player. That could be a guy that, the 49ers could have as their future, strong safety. I don't know. I love Hufanga, though. I want Hufanga back. So a lot of decisions for Lynch and Shanahan. So, man, the season's over. We're on to the draft. We're on to free agency. And, we'll see what happens. So I'll continue to keep you guys updated. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the 2024 season in the comments down below. What a disaster. What a disaster it was. But as always, go Niners. And I'll see you guys in the next one.